Holland, to wherever we go, to tell our story. It's not an easy one. I'm very proud of my daughter. She's been clean for about three and a half years. And, but basically, I'm here to tell you that there's no discrimination to drug and alcohol use. You can have it to anyone. Doesn't matter where you grew up, what your income level is, what color you are, what religion you preach, anything. 4 or 5 years ago, I would have never thought I'd be standing up here talking to anyone. And it's a struggle. I'm not a public speaker. I get nervous. I have notes, and I try to do the best I can. When Alicia was doing drugs, and she did it very well, she was an active user, but she was also active in school. She did a lot. I, back then, didn't know what to look for. I was in the midst of going through divorce, and yes, this can happen to a family that's married 20, 30 years. It doesn't be single, married, divorced. There's no discrimination whatsoever. She did it very well. I did find things signed through outpatient counseling. We had her counselors at school talking to her. We thought she was on the right track, and then she fall off the wagon again. But there was always a gut feeling inside me. Call it mother's intuition, call it gut feeling, call it I'm not giving up on my child. She was the first granddaughter, first daughter, first everything. First to try everything, basically. And I did find things in the house, cleaning her room, which was a plate, a knife, and a straw. My thing, I mean, back when I was a kid, marijuana was the drug of choice. Didn't think that was what she was doing. I thought she was eating in a room. Needless to say, it was what she was using to crush up the pills. You never found opiates or anything in my house. I had a hard time taking my vitamins in the morning. So we didn't know where she was getting this stuff from. Needless to say, after many years of counseling and her drug use and rehab, we found out where she was getting it from. What I'd like to tell you is to take control of your kids and your families again. There's a lot of stuff out there that the kids have access to. Their phones, computers, internet, and I was very naive. And I remember telling me, trying to check her phone, it's my phone, it's my text messaging, and I would say, okay, I'm like, wait a minute. Years down the road, I'm like, I'm the one paying the bill. But I was afraid. For whatever reason, I was afraid to do this because I didn't want the relationship that we had to be faulted or anything. Now, you know, when she came home, I had access to her passwords on the internet, I had access to her phone, we're Facebook friends. I'm not sure how she is about that. But we did rebond. But to go and, if your kids are on the internet, make sure you know what they're doing, make sure it's in an accessible place, it's not in their room, the door's shut. You know, you kind of see the commercials on TV that the door's shut, they're doing stuff in it. It's what happens. Unfortunately, it does happen. She, at one point during her addiction, took her credit card, went on the internet, found a website, gave this website a diagnosis, her credit card number, and we had prescription drugs from the house from another country. So you don't have to buy it locally. I can get it across the country. That's not my granddaughter. We're babysitting, but I love to have my granddaughter. But I'm great as well. But so they can. I mean, I remember taking her out of rehab, and we would drive for a day or whatever, and she was like the trigger points of where she was buying drugs from, and it was just beyond me. That from inner city to Wheatfield to Lancaster to Elma to Orchard Park. I mean, it's everywhere. It's in every corner, and it's unfortunately very sad how prevalent drug use and how you can get the opiates and the heroin. Heroin's much cheaper. I wasn't really listening to her story because I've heard it a lot, but it starts off at one thing and it just progresses into something cheaper and heavier and stuff like that. Like I said, have access to their Facebook accounts, their cell phones, their passwords. Be a role model. Talk to your kids. Be honest with them. Kids are going to experiment. We did when we were kids. Kids are going to experiment. But it's more or less watching what they're doing, who their friends are. During the course of her addiction, and what I'd gone through with my daughters are 2.5 years apart. I refused to go through that pain and heartache and financial burden and just not sleeping again. And I learned through her to be harder on my younger daughter. And it was difficult because she was, you know, they were both good kids, don't get me wrong. She just found a different way to handle things. And I remember telling my younger daughter, Jessica, when you go to a house, I want to meet the parents, I want to meet the kids, and she's like, I'm not doing it. I mean, I don't care, I can't do this again. It's literally killed me inside, because this was several years of going through up and down, up and down. So you have to meet the parents, because now with cell phones, unless you have a GPS or a chip inside your kid's brain, they can tell you they're next door to Johnny's or next door to Susie's, and they could be clear across town. And that's exactly where it starts. Learn to say no to them. Don't just give them things. Don't just hand them money. Don't just hand them credit cards. You know, you have to be responsible. And everything is so easy access now that parents have to work 2 jobs, run a household, take care of the kids, the animals, blah, blah. And you just pacify things by giving our kids material things and not going back down to the basics of family life and family talks and stuff like that. And I know we were part of that. Unfortunately, through the divorce and the separation of the families and the moving and stuff like that, we kind of lost sight of it. And I lost sight of it because I wanted to be more of a friend to my daughters than a parent, and that was my mistake. And unfortunately, I had to deal with that. During her drug use and what I had to go through, the gut feeling was every morning at 2 o'clock in the morning, I would wake up out of a sound sleep for the few hours I did sleep. Run into wherever she was sleeping, be it in a room, on the couch, on the floor, grab her cell phone, run into my room, in the closet, checking text messages, trying to decipher what these messages were, these, you know, little words, you know, acronyms and stuff like that. And I'd ask my younger daughter, what is this? What is she doing? And it was a progression of learning. And then as the pieces and the puzzle started coming along, I got kind of more aware of things, started asking questions, went to school, asking questions, and got to learn what was going on. And eventually got the strength to get harder on her. And at one point, when we were living together, I give her 3 strikes and you're out. My younger daughter, during the course of this, went to live with her dad. As I started getting harder on her, she went to my ex-husband and went to live with him because he wasn't asking the questions I was. So I kind of at that point thought, I already lost one daughter, basically, from living with me. I couldn't afford to lose her. And I knew the consequences of what it was if I was to lose her. It was either death, jail, or recovery. And so in that course, and seeing what she was doing to herself and her family and everybody, it doesn't just affect her anymore. This affects the parents, the siblings, the grandparents, the friends, the relatives. I mean, it's just like a worldwide family thing. I give her 3 strikes and you're out. And I give her, you know, if you don't do this, this, and this, you're not living with me anymore. And I flunked math. I'm not even sure if I can multiply. I was actually trying to figure out how many seats are. I'm like, I can't even do that. So basically, when it got to almost a strike, I couldn't do it. And one morning, I woke up to go to work, had to move her car out of the driveway, and found a notepad, a purple little notepad, and something in that gut feeling said, open it up and read it. And I tried not to, as much as I tried not to interfere in her life, but something was wrong. Found a diary between her and her drug addict and her boyfriend. And it was basically a diary of every day. At this point, they couldn't remember what they did anymore, so they had to write down everything they did in case somebody questioned it. And that was the breaking point. That is what all I needed is to go upstairs, grab a garbage bag, go into her room and say, we're done. I need you out. I can't do this. You're going to kill yourself. You're killing me. You're everything. She never thought I would do it. And by 5 o'clock that afternoon, she was out. Wasn't sure where she went. She ended up going to my cousins. They kicked her out because she was drinking. She ended up going to her dad's. Stayed there for a while, got some rules, broke those as well. And as she told you, I think, she was losing sight of her relationship with her sister. Picked her up one day. I'm not sure if she told the story, but almost got in an accident, almost killed the 2 of them, and finally asked for help. And went to Stepping Stones. And I am so grateful that a place that I didn't know was in my backyard basically saved my daughter's life. there, we've got enough, we're tired of waiting lists to get in there, but if we can prevent one family or one child from either going in there or dying, that's why we do this. I will fight and I will tell our story and I will be, I do as much as I can for them. I'm doing this tonight. I'm dressing up tomorrow for the gallery of treats. I'll be handing out candy. I'm doing, I don't know if anybody's mentioned it yet, but doing a national drug drop-off on Saturday in Western New York and all the counties. There's a website you can go to. Please spread the word. We found out in the many years that I've been doing this and listening to either the telethon, the radiothons that they have, or hearing other kids speak and stuff like that. I remember vividly one day driving to work, and I work for a health insurance company, hearing the radiothon and how kid was talking about his addiction, because that's where we learn everything is from the kids, of where they got it, how they started, why they started, everything. He was looking at houses with his parents, going to open houses. While the parents were looking inside the house, he was reading the drug cabinets. And I almost went off the throwaway, and I was like, and we moved, she can tell you, we moved like 9 times while I was married. So I'm like, and we always sold the house by ourselves, but we never had anything in the house either, but I decided probably Motrin. But I was appalled. I'm like, oh my God, this is, people actually do this? They go into people's medicine cabinets and rate them? So it was an eye-opener. So when they started doing these national drug drop-offs, I'm like, I'll be there. And I did the one last year in West Seneca. And I was amazed what came through that day. I mean, we hear a lot of people going to, kids, and it's not really it doesn't have to be your kid, it could be your kid's friend, it could be, a relative, it could be a friend of friends, going to grandma's, spending the night, whatever. And they look, and it's not just the bathroom medicine cabinet. People leave them in their bedrooms now, in the kitchen cabinets, right on the counter. Tell your friends, your coworkers, your parents, your grandparents, clean out your medicine cabinets between now and Saturday and bring them to one of these drop-off sections. No questions asked. We got all kinds of pills. We got Bengay, diabetic needles, water things. I mean, they'll take anything and dispose of them properly. Because what pharmacies don't tell you is don't flush them down the toilet, because then you're drugging all the fish. But the disposal that these agencies that we hire, dispose of them properly. And you can bring them in bottles. We were getting whole bags. I was just like shocked. But it was, I think, 12 tons that weekend. 4 tons in Erie County, just from one day. It's like 10 to 2 or something like that. So we're doing it then. I'll be in Lancaster because that's where we're from. So I'm doing it in Lancaster. But again, don't enable your kids. Ask the questions. If you're suspicious, there's tons of agencies. There's SRO officers at the school. I know from where we are in Lancaster, if you want to drug test your kid, you can call the school. They'll give you a drug test free of charge. Just have them pee in a cup, whatever. And I've got friends, coworkers that have heard my story, and I get calls all the time. What can I do? What can I say? Where do I get help? And that's what we're here for, is to educate. So if you leave here and you're having coffee with your girlfriends or in-laws or whatever, just tell them what you heard. And it may not affect you now, but it may affect you, or you may know somebody in 6 months or a week. It's amazing how this stuff, it's kind of like how drug addiction snowballed in 30, 40 years. I hate to see what's going to happen when my daughter that has children and what they're going to have to go through. I don't even want to probably be around, but just, keep the fight going. Don't give up on your kids. They're too precious, and don't give up and don't give in. Thank you.